The least distracted always wins. In this day and age, in which the average human attention span is like 5 seconds, less than a goldfish, it is not IQ, connections, or hard work what makes the difference. The difference is always performance and focus. And this video is about the 3 specific steps that you can take today to take your focus to the next level. These 3 strategies are battle tested, they're scientifically proven, and they will work for you because we have been training our clients with these techniques and they always achieve an incredible surge in personal productivity just by making these 3 changes. Welcome back. I'm Castillo, founder of Selfmastered, Peak Performance Institute for entrepreneurs. We systematize the art and science of peak performance to help you scale fast with peak productivity, peak focus, and peak self-belief. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of the juicy stuff that we publish every week. So this video is about 3 specific changes you can make in your routine today to skyrocket your focus and productivity. And I've been doing this work in the performance space for over 6 years now, and I've realized that these are probably the 3 most high leverage interventions that you can quickly deploy into your life that will have results. Because we do all sorts of kind of deep subconscious reprogramming and mental conditioning and strategies that take a little bit longer to actually work, but these changes will work for you today. Change number 1 is to own and honor your own natural rhythm. So most people don't know this, but just as we have sleep cycles at night, we have day cycles. These are called ultradian cycles, which means that our energy naturally ebbs and flows throughout the day. You know, you may be feeling more energetic in a specific moment of the day, and then you typically hit a slump in the afternoon. You're not as ready to do high cognitive work. So average entrepreneurs, they don't know this. They don't even think this is a thing. So they just show up and work, and they complete whatever work needs to be done in whatever fashion they want without taking into account how ready they are to perform that activity, right? So they over-index in prioritization and under-index in personal energy management, which leads to typically doing mediocre work because they tackle high leverage tasks when they are at the lowest point in their energy and vice versa. So the solution is to master this task timing relationship. In other words, to work in the most important task when you are at your peak. And there's a test you can take called the Morningness Eveningness Questionnaire, MEQ, that will tell you what is your chronotype. And depending on your chronotype, you can architect your day in order to find when are you most productive, and that is when you do the highest leverage work. So instead of working randomly, you strategically select the moment of your day in which you are going to be most productive, and that is when you do your best work. When you're not at your most productive time, which is typically every 90 minutes, what you do is you rest. You take a deep rest, an active recovery rest, which means that either you do some breath work, you do some meditation, you go for a walk, you do an actual break that does not overexcite your brain. So you don't check your phone, you don't doom scroll, you take care of your brain so that it can encode the information it just learned in the working session and get ready for more work. So that's tip number 1, is to honor your own natural rhythms, which leads me to tip number 2, is work in RingF Session. So you probably heard the concept of a time batch in which you have a specific block of time devoted to one specific task. And that is good advice. But the RingF Session, which is a protocol I invented years ago, takes that one step further and is really going to change your life. Here's how it works. You set a time batch that is 90 minutes long. Remember, we just discussed the nature of ultradian cycles, which is 90 minutes long. So you block a 90-minute work session in your calendar in which you select one task or type of tasks. So let's say you need to write a report. That's one task. Let's say that you need to reply to emails. Well, that's 90 minutes in which you're going to be processing all the emails of the week. You just choose one thing. You batch together a lot of tasks that go well together. And then you set one hypothesis for the session. So I'm going to be completing this amount of work in 90 minutes. I'm going to be writing a 1,000-word report. I'm going to be recording 3 videos. I'm going to be in this meeting, whatever it is that you decide on doing, but you're very clear on the goal of the 90-minute work session. And then you visualize that end result. This is very important. Every time you visualize, you light up in your brain the same neural pathways that later get light up when you actually perform the action. So by visualizing what you're going to be doing and what the outcome looks like, you're more likely to actually perform the way you visualize. In essence, you are performing before the performance, which means that when the performance eventually comes, it is much better done. And finally, and this is a key one, you use a timer. So you put a timer, a very simple timer, just Google timer and use Google Timer for that, and see the timer going down while you are working. This will trigger your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. In other words, you will create an internal deadline that will stress you out a little bit, and that will drive focus like crazy. So one objective, 90 minutes, same type of work, visualization first, and then the timer, right? This will skyrocket your effectiveness. Try it out and let me know how much your life, your career changes. And then the final thing that I want you to do, and before I go into that, like, subscribe, and hit the bell, is to minimize context switching. So one of the best things that my ring fencing model provides is that you avoid getting distracted because you are committed to completing a 90-minute work session without getting distracted, and you have a timer that you're competing against. Therefore, you minimize distractions. If you're able to sustain 2, 3, even 4 ring fence sessions per day, you naturally gravitate towards less context switching. Context switching is this multitasking capacity that humans think they have, but we really don't, in which the brain is constantly switching in between tasks, between activities. That generates something called attention residue. Imagine your brain is like a computer. Well, a little bit of the RAM memory of the brain is caught in the previous task. So the overall processing power of the brain as the day progresses is diminished. The decisions you make at 7 p.m. are much worse in quality than the ones you make at 7 a.m. among other factors, because of the attention residue and the cognitive load that you have accumulated. So minimize context switching. Do not try to do many things at the same time. Prioritize hard and sequentialize the execution. Do one thing after the other. Monotask. Do not multitask. If you do these 3 things, honor your circadian rhythms, perform with ring fence sessions, and limit context switching, I can guarantee that your productivity at least will triple. Because at least that is what happens with our clients, because we consistently track it. We have our tools for that, right? In fact, I'd say that half of our clients had said something along the lines of, dude, I used to be exhausted at noon and now I feel fresh at 6 p.m. How did that happen? Well, because when you minimize context switching, where you leverage deep work and flow states with the ring fence sessions, and when you honor your own circadian rhythms, guess what happens? Your productivity shoots up, but your energy also stays high. So really implement these 3 things and get back to me. Let me know how much better you become at studying, how much better you become at working, how much happy you are every day at your desk. You won't go back to randomly showing up at work and randomly working on random tasks at random moments in the day, getting randomly distracted with random inputs you have no control over, and randomly taking breaks with your phone. That will not happen again, and you will be well in your way to elite performer status. If you want our proven protocols, you know where to find me, but I will implore you to start applying what I just shared with you, because I guarantee it works. See you in the next video.